Captain's Log, July 25th, 2016. We're getting the pilot of The Tick in less than a month, folks, and I am both really excited and a little nervous about it as we are finding out more things and seeing a couple of pictures. So, the pilot is going to be on Amazon Prime on August 19th. So, if you're a Prime member, you'll get to watch it and you'll get to give your feedback, and I don't know if it's like voting between it and the other couple of pilots they're putting up at the same time. They're doing 3 comedy pilots, and The Tick is one of them. There's another one starring Jean-Claude Van Damme, and another one that's, I forget the name of it, but it's supposed to be kind of a comedy examining the female gaze. That's the explanation that I read. And I don't know if the idea is that, like, one of the 3 pilots gets picked up, or 2 of them, or all of them if there's enough interest. I'm not sure exactly how they're doing that, but we're getting a pilot, and again, we get to kind of help decide, I guess, if they go to series, and we get just that first episode of what will be, if it gets picked up, a full-blown 13-episode season that is one story from start to finish, as opposed to being an episodic series of a bunch of one-and-done episodes, as The Tick has often been, or has been twice in the past. So with both the cartoon and the live-action series, we had a series that had a sense of continuity, certainly, but each episode was very much standalone. And in fact, we had sequels to episodes with the cartoon, but neither of those shows ever even had a 2-parter. And I am really intrigued to see what a full season story with something as goofy and satirical as The Tick will look like. Certainly, again, the comics, as I've talked about before, were that way, that initial Ben Edlund run, and I'm excited to see that brought to it. I was really hoping for more stuff being for maybe that first arc to be adapted, or a lot of stuff brought from it, and Ben Edlund certainly might be grabbing from some of that, and we just don't know about it yet, but it's not a direct adaptation of anything we've had in the comics before. And of course, Ben Edlund really likes to tell new stories, so I guess I shouldn't find that surprising. I was really kind of hoping that this would be now that we can that we're on this platform and it's not network television, we don't have to worry too much about being totally accessible to as big of an audience as humanly possible, that it might be, because this one is clearly going to be a little weirder, just from what we're reading, or at least it certainly seems like it, and looking at the costume, that I was really hoping that we would be bringing more of the comic sensibility to it, and maybe that flavor will be there, but story-wise, this is not at all what I was expecting. Apparently the idea is, in the blurb that we got with this news, my source is Comic Book Resources. Of course, this has been reported in a lot of other places, that the kind of basic synopsis is Arthur has stumbled somehow or rather onto a big conspiracy where one villain is in charge, kind of in a kingpin type way of the entire city, and has taken over and done this in an underground way, and nobody realizes it. And that villain seems to be the Terror, or I'm assuming that villain is the Terror. We know that the Terror is in the show, and that he's played by Jackie Earle Haley, which I'm really excited about. That's probably the thing right now that I am most stoked to see, is just what he's like in that role. And I love that actor, and Rorschach's my favorite thing about Watchmen. So that's super cool. But the synopsis doesn't come right out and say it's the Terror that is the villain that is responsible for this whole conspiracy, but I'm assuming it is, because he's supposed to be a series regular. And anyway, so that's kind of the story, and it sounded early on like this was not going to be origin territory at all, and that maybe the Tick and Arthur would have been together for a while, but the way that synopsis reads is that Arthur is kind of working alone, and then he teams up with the Tick. So I guess this is going to be the first time they've come together, and we'll see that happen on screen, so it'll just be a very different kind of origin. I wonder if we'll see the apartment. I kind of doubt it. I wonder if we'll see the apartment scene yet a third time on television, where the Tick goes into Arthur's apartment and says, "What does the bed turn into?" It turns into a couch. But anyway, as far as the suit goes, I guess I should say that synopsis certainly sounds intriguing. I was kind of hoping maybe we would just jump straight in and the Tick and Arthur already know each other, but I'm certainly open-minded about that whole thing. I guess we'll see what that's like. But as far as the suit goes, I'm not impressed yet. We'll see what it looks like in the context of the show. A lot of people are saying, "Wow, it looks god-awful," and I gotta admit, it is a strange look. It's a strange choice. It looks like the Tick was sculpted out of Play-Doh. Like, it's really strange how the cowl comes down and goes over his shoulders and then is molded into the rest of the suit from there, but the seam is real clear, so it looks like it's just like molding putty, connecting it all together, and it's a weird look. The texture is strange. I think it's odd that they're going for such a literal arachnid look. We've never done that with the Tick before, and part of the joke was always he has a motif that is never really talked about that much, where like he's the Tick, and that's just in his mind what he looks like and who he is, and his identity is very cemented in his own mind, even though he doesn't seem to know what his backstory is, and he doesn't think that his suit even is a suit, and there's always this hilarious ambiguity as to whether or not. And I don't know if the show will do all of this, but whether or not it's actually a real suit, or if somehow or rather he was born that way. And now we've gone to this actual kind of a arachnid look, and I like the back of the suit better than the front of it. It's got a spinal column and stuff, which is kind of interesting. I also don't think that I gotta make sure that I get his name. Serafinowicz. I'm also not sure that just because I can't get a real good grasp of scale in the picture that we have of him so far, if he's gonna feel as massive as the Tick usually does, and as much even as Patrick Warburton did, which of course, real life version of the Tick, you do the best you can, unless you shot a whole lot of your backgrounds digitally and you shot it more like Sin City or something, where everything was green screen. You can't really make your Tick look as big as the Tick does in the cartoon and in the comic book. But he just doesn't immediately seem like he's this big towering mass like he has been in the past. So I wonder if that's gonna suddenly be taken out and not be part of the Tick, but I gotta see him up against some people before I can really make any kind of a call with that. We are attempting a face mask. I said that I was positive they would do that. They are doing a face mask. I don't love it yet. Hopefully it'll grow on me. I also didn't like Patrick Warburton not having a face mask. Honestly, the aesthetic of the costume does not matter to me, obviously, as much as the comedy landing and the storytelling being good, and the kind of comedy being really clever, silly but intelligent. And that's the Tick. That's what it needs to be. Everything else is gravy for me. But It is a really weird look. I gotta see what it looks like, with the show. It's gonna be strange getting this pilot if it doesn't actually go to series. Boy, I hope it does. Obviously, but since it's not a standalone thing, it'll be really weird to have this like introduction to a story and then not the rest of it. So I kind of wish that it was on Netflix or something, because then it wouldn't have that problem. You wouldn't have to have this fear that your pilot wouldn't actually get picked up. The way Amazon is doing that, I think, is a fine model. It's just that I'm a giant Tick fan, and I'm going to be really sad, unless the pilot is horrible, I guess, but I'm going to be really sad if this thing doesn't get picked up. Certainly everybody involved, including Ben Edlund, seemed to be, from everything we can tell, pretty confident in this. I'm glad Ben Edlund is involved with the entirety of this first season, and that he's not just writing a couple episodes. He seems to be the showrunner all the way through. Now, I don't know, certainly writing credits wise, who's getting credit for what episodes, but obviously he's the showrunner and was, I would imagine, in heading the writing room, and got to mold his whole season. So, I don't know, there's a lot of things to be excited about, and there are also a lot of things that make me a little nervous and ask questions about, and it's a really exciting time to be a Tick fan. Never, ever thought we'd get another series, and I wish we could get more comics more often, but, New England has tried its darndest to keep the Tick in circulation, and people just aren't buying it, so that's nobody's fault but us Tick fans not supporting it. Other things I wanted to mention real quick. Arthur has a last name now. Arthur Everest? Everest. Okay. So, we are really going a different direction here, and I'm hoping that it doesn't end up just feeling like change for the sake of change. But Arthur, to my knowledge, has never had a last name before. I can't think of any place, and I don't know if maybe there's comics that I've not read where that's revealed or something, but that was always a little bit of a joke that we didn't really get last names for a lot of our characters. You get Barry Hubris and some people like that, but a lot of our mainstay characters just have either their superhero names or just like a one word or a one name, a given name without a last name. Even in the live action series, you had Janet with Captain Liberty, but I didn't know what her last name was, and I don't think Batmuel ever had a first name. But anyway, so I don't know. Obviously, very wait and see. This is going to be interesting. With Jackie Earle Haley, I'm wondering if he's going to be playing a more middle-aged terror, or if... But see, now that I'm thinking about it, I think the... I've got this right here. I can just read this. Oh, yeah, okay. So it is definitely the Terror who is... This is confirmed. It is definitely the Terror who is the kind of kingpin of this, and it says... It says the city is owned by a global supervillain long thought dead. So it's got to be Jackie Earle Haley being caked up in makeup the way, in maybe a similar way that we did it with Armin Shimmerman in the live action series in that episode that didn't get aired. Where he's, obviously a middle-aged guy, but he's playing somebody who's 115. So, anyway, we'll see how that works out. But I think he's an awesome choice, and I love that actor. And anyway, that's the thing I'm most excited about right now. Well, what do you folks think? What do you think of the costume? What do you think of some of the casting? What do you think about the kind of conspiracy angle and just doing the Tick as a... Of course, we knew about this before, but doing the Tick as a full-blown story through 13 episodes instead of it being episodic. Leave your comments. Can't wait to hear what you folks think about this. And in the meantime, I am Captain Logan, and this concludes today's Captain's Log.